Tipasa is a village on the Mediterranean coast, about 50 miles from Algiers. Camus went there frequently in 1935 and 1936. A manuscript exists of a first sketch for this essay, written in 1936. But the first typewritten copy dates from July 1937. Certain phrases, however, already occur in the carnets for 1936. P.T. Nuptials at Tipasa, Albert Camus. Nuptials at Tipasa. In the spring, Tipasa is inhabited by gods, and the gods speak in the sun and the scent of absinthe leaves, in the silver armor of the sea, in the raw blue sky, the flower-covered ruins, and the great bubbles of light among the heaps of stone. At certain hours of the day, the countryside is black with sunlight. The eyes try in vain to perceive anything but drops of light and colors trembling on the lashes. The thick scent of aromatic plants tears at the throat and suffocates in the vast heat. Far away, I can just make out the black bulk of the Chenua, rooted in the hills around the village, moving with a slow and heavy rhythm, until finally it crouches in the sea. The village we pass through to get there already opens on the bay. We enter a blue and yellow world, and are welcomed by the pungent, odorous sigh of the Algerian summer earth. Everywhere, pinkish bougainvillea hangs over villa walls. In the gardens, the hibiscus are still pale red, and there is a profusion of tea roses thick as cream, with delicate borders of long blue iris. All the stones are warm. As we step off the buttercup yellow bus, butchers in their little red trucks are making their morning rounds, calling to the villagers with their horns. To the left of the port, a dry stone stairway leads to the ruins, through the mastic trees and broom. The path goes by a small lighthouse before plunging into the open country. Already, at the foot of this lighthouse, large red, yellow, and violet plants descend toward the first rocks, sucked at by the sea with a kissing sound. As we stand in the slight breeze, with the sun warming one side of our faces, we watch the fight coming down from the sky, the smooth sea, and the smile of its glittering teeth. We are spectators for the last time before we enter the kingdom of ruins. After a few steps, the smell of absinthe seizes one by the throat. The wormwood's gray wool covers the ruins as far as the eye can see. Its oil ferments in the heat, and the whole earth gives off a heady alcohol that makes the sky flicker. We walk toward an encounter with love and desire. We are not seeking lessons or the bitter philosophy one requires of greatness. Everything seems futile here except the sun, our kisses, and the wild scents of the earth. I do not seek solitude. I have often been here with those I loved and read on their features the clear smile the face of love assumes. Here, I leave order and moderation to others. The great free love of nature and the sea absorbs me completely. In this marriage of ruins and springtime, the ruins have become stones again, and losing the polish imposed on them by men, they have reverted to nature. To celebrate the return of her prodigal daughters, nature has laid out a profusion of flowers. The heliotrope pushes its red and white head between the flagstones of the forum. Red geraniums spill their blood over what were houses, temples, and public squares. Like the men whom much knowledge brings back to God, many years have brought these ruins back to their mother's house. Today, their past has finally left them, and nothing distracts them from the deep force pulling them back to the center of all that falls. How many hours have I spent crushing absinthe leaves, caressing ruins, trying to match my breathing with the world's tumultuous sighs. Deep among wild scents and concerts of somnolent insects, I open my eyes and heart to the unbearable grandeur of this heat-soaked sky. It is not so easy to become what one is, to rediscover one's deepest measure. But watching the solid backbone of the Chenua, my heart would grow calm with a strange certainty. I was learning to breathe. I was fitting into things and fulfilling myself. As I climbed one after another of the hills, each brought a reward, like the temple whose columns measure the course of the sun, and from which one can see the whole village, its white and pink walls and green verandas. Like the basilica on the East Hill, too, which still has its walls and is surrounded by a great circle of uncovered ornamented coffins, most of them scarcely out of the earth, whose nature they still share. They used to contain corpses. Now sage and wallflowers grow in them. The St. Salsa Basilica is Christian, but each time we look out through a gap in the walls, we are greeted by the song of the world. Hillsides planted with pine and cypress trees, or the sea rolling its white horses 20 yards away. The hill on which St. Salsa is built has a flat top, and the wind blows more strongly through the portals. Under the morning sun, a great happiness hovers in space. Those who need myths are indeed poor. Here the gods serve as beds or resting places as the day races across the sky. I describe and say, this is red, this blue, this green. This is the sea, the mountain, the flowers. Need I mention Dionysus to say that I love to crush mastic bulbs under my nose? Is the old hymn that will later come to me quite spontaneously, even addressed to Demeter. Happy is he alive who has seen these things on earth. How can we forget the lesson of sight and seeing on this earth? All men had to do at the mysteries of Eleusis was watch. Yet even here I know that I shall never come close enough to the world. I must be naked and dive into the sea, still scented with the perfumes of the earth, wash them off in the sea, and consummate with my flesh the embrace for which sun and sea, lips to lips, have so long been sighing. I feel the shock of the water, rise up through a thick, cold glue, then dive back with my ears ringing, my nose streaming, and the taste of salt in my mouth. As I swim, my arms shining with water, flash into gold in the sunlight, until I fold them in again, with a twist of all my muscles. The water streams along my body as my legs take tumultuous possession of the waves, and the horizon disappears. On the beach, I flop down on the sand, yield to the world, feel the weight of flesh and bones, again dazed with sunlight, occasionally glancing at my arms, where the water slides off, and patches of salt and soft blonde hair appear on my skin. Here I understand what is meant by glory, the right to love without limits. There is only one love in this world. To clasp a woman's body is also to hold in one's arms this strange joy that descends from sky to sea. In a moment when I throw myself down among the absinthe plants to bring their scent into my body, I shall know appearances to the contrary, that I am fulfilling a truth which is the sun's, and which will also be my death's. In a sense, it is indeed my life that I am staking here, a life that tastes of warm stone, that is full of the sighs of the sea and the rising song of the crickets. The breeze is cool and the sky blue. I love this life with abandon, and wish to speak of it boldly. It makes me proud of my human condition. Yet people have often told me, there's nothing to be proud of. Yes, there is. This sun, this sea, my heart leaping with youth, the salt taste of my body, and this vast landscape in which tenderness and glory merge in blue and yellow. It is to conquer this that I need my strength and my resources. Everything here leaves me intact. I surrender nothing of myself and don no mask. Learning patiently and arduously how to live is enough for me, well worth all their arts of living. Shortly before noon, we would come back through the ruins to a little cafe by the side of the port. How cool was the welcome of a tall glass of iced green mint in the shady room. to heads ringing with colors and the symbols of the sun. Outside were the sea and the road burning with dust. Seated at the table, I would try to blink my eyelids so as to catch the multicolored dazzle of the white-hot sky. Our faces damp with sweat, but our bodies cool in light clothing. We would flaunt the happy weariness of a day of nuptials with the world. The food is bad in this cafe, but there is plenty of fruit, especially peaches, whose juice drips down your chin as you bite into them. Gazing avidly before me, my teeth closing on a peach, I can hear the blood pounding in my ears. The vast silence of noon hangs over the sea. Every beautiful thing has a natural pride in its own beauty, and today, the world is allowing its pride to seep from every pore. Why, in its presence, should I deny the joy of living, as long as I know everything is not included in this joy? There's no shame in being happy. But today the fool is king, and I call those who fear pleasure fools. They've told us so much about pride. You know Lucifer's sin. Beware, they used to cry. You will lose your soul and your vital powers. I have in fact learned since that a certain pride. But at other times I cannot prevent myself from asserting the pride in living that the whole world conspires to give me. At Tipasa, I see equals I believe, and I'm not stubborn enough to deny what my hands can touch and my lips caress. I don't feel the need to make it into a work of art, but to describe it, which is different. Tipasa seems to me like a character one describes in order to give indirect expression to a certain view of the world. Like such characters, Tipasa testifies to something and does it like a man. Tipasa is the personage I'm describing today, and it seems to me that the very act of caressing and describing my delight will ensure that it has no end. There is a time for living and a time for giving expression to life. There is also a time for creating, which is less natural. For me, it is enough to live with my whole body and bear witness with my whole heart. Live Tipasa, manifest its lessons, and the work of art will come later. Herein lies a freedom. I never spent more than a day at Tipasa. A moment always comes when one has looked too long at a landscape, just as it is a long time before one sees enough of it. Mountains, the sky, the sea are like faces whose barrenness or splendor we discover by looking rather than seeing. But in order to be eloquent, every face must be seen anew. One complains of growing tired too quickly, when one ought to be surprised that the world seems new only because we have forgotten it. Toward evening, I would return to a more formal section of the park, set out as a garden, just off the main road. Leaving the tumult of scents and sunlight and the cool evening air, the mind would grow calm and the body relaxed, savoring the inner silence, born of satisfied love. I would sit on a bench watching the countryside expand with light. I was full. Above me drooped a pomegranate tree, its flower buds closed and ribbed like small, tight fists containing every hope of spring. There was rosemary behind me, and I could smell only the scent of its alcohol. The hills were framed with trees, and beyond them stretched a band of sea on which the sky, like a sail becalmed, rested in all its tenderness. I felt a strange joy in my heart, the special joy that stems from a clear conscience. There is a feeling actors have when they know they've played their part well, that is to say, when they have made their own gestures coincide with those of the ideal character they embody, having entered somehow into a prearranged design, bringing it to life with their own heartbeats. That was exactly what I felt. I had played my part well. I had performed my task as a man, and the fact that I had known joy for one entire day seemed to me not an exceptional success, but but the intense fulfillment of a condition which, in certain circumstances, makes it our duty to be happy. Then we're alone again, but satisfied. But now the trees were filled with birds. The earth would give a long sigh before sliding into darkness. In a moment, with the first star, night would fall on the theater of the world. The dazzling gods of day would return to their daily death. But other gods would come. And, though they would be darker, their ravaged faces too would come from deep within the earth. For the moment at least, the waves endless crashing against the shore came toward me, through a space dancing with golden pollen. Sea, landscape, silence, scents of this earth. I would drink my fill of a scent-laden life, sinking my teeth into the world's fruit, golden already, overwhelmed by the feeling of its strong, sweet juice flowing on my lips. No, it was neither I nor the world that counted, but solely the harmony and silence that gave birth to the love between us. A love I was not foolish enough to claim for myself alone, proudly aware that I shared it with a whole race born in the sun and sea, alive and spirited, drawing greatness from its simplicity, and upright on the beaches, smiling in complicity at the brilliance of its skies,